Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe, from Cape Cod to Cancun, from Vegas to the Vatican. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, CEO and founder. Today's Breakfast Bankroll Midday Market Report. And I know you're all enjoying the golf right now, and our VIP family members have a rooting interest on the young stud, the 24-year-old Mr. Colin Morikawa. So we will see what happens on the back nine. It is a major, now the tournament really begins, especially with Jordan breathing on your neck. So without further ado, the man, the myth from Tampa himself, Mr. Scott E. Webb.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
We're doing fine. Again, apologies for everyone. We got it looks like a pretty good thunder and lightning and you name it storm heading our way. It's been a crazy weekend, Scotty, here. How about yourself?
No, it's been one of those I guess normal weeks in Florida in July. You get up in the morning, it's hot. You get to go outside, it gets hotter, and then all of a sudden in the afternoon it rains, and then you have a pleasant evening. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is in Florida. It's but at the same time, it's one of those things where you know what you get when you're down here, and I must say that the summers are kind of tough, but other than that, the weather is pretty nice, especially when football season happens. Because I sit here and walk around in shorts and a t-shirt, and everybody else is all bundled up watching them football games.
I did have 1 year in Florida, and when I say this, I say it tongue in cheek. I lived down there for 1 year in Jacksonville, so we just got into the state of Florida, and that was actually during the glory years with Fred Taylor, Brunell, and they were actually very competitive back then. And I actually think they made the playoffs then. But what I remember most is it seemed like at 10:20 a.m. every day it rained for 15 minutes. You could set your clock to it, and then the rest of the day was fine. But yeah, we're trying to get through it. I mean, Scotty, we got less than 6 weeks to go till the pigskin's in the air. We're excited. I know you're excited. We got some good things brewing there. The weekend here in baseball, we're back from the All-Star break. So much going on. I mean, we could talk for hours here just on breaking news. What transpired at the Nationals game yesterday is just absolutely atrocious. The world we live in today, you can't even go to a ball game and not fear for your life. We won't turn this into a politics show here. As we were backstage, the news with DeGrom looks like hitting the DL. The Mets yesterday with a big blow up. I mean, the list is endless here. Thoughts on since the break, the weekend, and where we are today?
Well, I think just curiosity on my side with the DeGrom stuff. I think they're just saving innings for that guy, to be honest. I know that you can come down and you can say, hey, my shoulder hurts, my forearm hurts, my this hurts, my that hurts, and then they can go get some kind of MRI or whatever, and then they can sit there and go, okay, well, you're not going to pitch again for 2 weeks. Okay, great. Well, that doesn't mean anything in a season of 162 games when you're the front runner already. So my thought is DeGrom is being, saved for innings so that if and when they make the playoffs, that they can get some automatic wins when he pitches. So I don't truly believe some of the stuff I hear. Because I know there's some shenanigans that go on. But all that being said, I don't think we're really going to be in a position to say, hey, this is what's going on in Major League Baseball until some of the trades start happening and some of the deadline stuff starts moving. And then when that happens, I think that once the fallout from all that goes, then I think you can start looking at, okay, well, these are the I don't know, we'll just say 12 to 13 teams that are going to go for it in 2021. And then you got to start looking at, okay, well, what did these teams that just sold some of these players look like for 2022? And then I think that, as that goes down, I think we'll see a big push at the end. I think I think teams like I put a tweet out earlier today. I mean, I think things like people don't really, we talked about last week. The New York Yankees are a name right now, and we talked about where they're at, and that I think they were plus 1,000 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and theoretically they should have been plus way more than that, and their run differential right now is -1 on the season, and if you look at runs scored, there are 15 teams in the American League, and there's 15 teams in the National League. The Yankees are number 14 on teams runs scored in the American League. There are only the Texas Rangers who have not scored more runs than the New York Yankees all season, and that is where I keep trying to tell people the Yankees pitching hasn't been terrible. I mean, it hasn't obviously been great, but I mean at the same time that's not why they're losing games. They're losing because they don't score. They get 3 hits in a game. They get 4 hits in a game. And now you got a lineup out there guys you never even heard of. So it's the New York Yankees. So okay, then that's why they get the little breaks in what they do. And I think the sports books know that. Hey, it's New York Yankees. They got a big following, so they're going to make lots of bets on them. So I can't take too much risk. So they lower the numbers, and I get all of that. So, but just scratch them off your list, guys. They're nowhere near. We talked about it, and I think if the Toronto Blue Jays were to get another starting pitcher, say they go get and rent or trade for or get the Scherzer. Oh my God, that team could go on and win everything. That's just the kind of thing that can happen on a trade deadline push that we don't see. And if it were to happen and you were ahead of that curve, you were going to get a good ticket.
I was actually watching the Red Sox Yankees yesterday. And you know what? I don't like to bitch and complain about umpires, refs, et cetera, et cetera. I have a hard time with the choke word that gets thrown around, especially on social media. It's real easy to be that tough guy standing behind the keyboard, throwing out the choke word, and you yourself couldn't make your JV team as a senior in high school, and these are professional athletes, and they're two teams, both trying to win, and it's so comical. I could talk forever on that, but the umpires just absolutely butchered the Red Sox game. First of all, it was delayed an hour before the start, and there was no rain, and then they tried to get through the sixth, and they get through the top half of the sixth, and then next thing you know, the Red Sox go out there, and the rain is coming down in buckets. And then Verdugo goes out to left field, and then he gets hit by a baseball, and then they pull him back in again, and then the Sox bring in a reliever, and it was just atrocious. And then they stop the game, and then they give the Yankees the token win, their first win against the Red Sox, and it took a 6-inning abbreviated, 2 right field homers that wouldn't have got out of my Babe Ruth field, back in the day. But you're so right on the Yankees. It is atrocious. I wonder, it's tough for a team with that kind of payroll to just all of a sudden become sellers. And as they were talking about it, they don't have a lot of big contracts to get out of. I mean, the one thing that they got to do, and I don't know who would be ever do it, is they got to get out of the Stanton contract. However you got to do it. I know the Red Sox are paying Price half his salary. I know there's a half dozen other salaries that like the Red Sox are still paying, but sometimes you just got to cut ties, but they're just not formulated right now to win.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, you can't even put a lineup together with this team when they're healthy. I mean, a lineup of a batting order is supposed to be a structure of guys in unison that can do things to help the next guy, and the Yankees lineup isn't that way. I mean, I shouldn't say it the word that hate's a strong word. I really don't like the idea of what managers have done by putting the best hitters batting second, and I understand it's over the course of the season they get more at bats. I don't care about what their personal batting averages are and what their RBIs are at the end of the season. The truth of the matter is you got to win the game you're playing today. and your best hitters need to be in position to drive in the runs. And of all things in Major League Baseball, all things that are missing the boat from what most handicappers and analysts look at is the ability to drive in runs. The players who bat third, fourth, and fifth have got to be able to drive in the RBIs. And what typically happens now is your manager puts certain guys in those spots, whether they can drive in runs or not, they don't care. And that's not the whole point. Certain guys, when they go up to bat with guys on base, are better than others. And they focus better and they do more to try to drive in the run. And I'm not talking about the Stantons of the world who goes up there and hits a sacrifice fly and gets an out and okay, whatever, I got to run in. Okay, well, that you just killed an inning too. So if you score one run and you're down 4, okay, great. And now you got nobody else on base. Okay, now you got to start it all over again. So your guy like that is like a Abreu for the White Sox, right? That guy knows how to drive in runs. And the point of the whole subject I'm trying to make is there's several of those guys. Those guys can do those things, and they are extremely valuable, and nobody gives them credit for what value they have because they are RBI guys.
No, yesterday, favorites 7-6, overs 8-5. Some big dogs that cashed. The Pirates plus 148, Indians plus 158, Tigers plus 155. The Pirates down 6-0 in the 8th. They showed a stat. The last 341 games with a 6-run lead or more into the 8th inning, 341-0, I think it was. My normal is he go, and I think I agree with you with the DeGrom in the innings and the fact that Kuhn is going and the Nats are running down Razor T-ball. So maybe, the Diaz situation, the Mets ain't going anywhere with Diaz. I mean, listen, he's electric. He's just psychotic sometimes. I don't know where you can put him, but if you were able to add an arm, maybe like a to that 8th spot, to the 8th inning, and then back with Kimbrel in the 9th. But listen, looks like Storm's getting closer. We're fading in and out. So what I want to do now is let's just bring up the board. We will speed up the process today, and let's get to talk some numbers here. I'm seeing that the Blue Jays and Rangers were just postponed. I'm not sure if you got that update, but we'll take a look at that. Let's get this board up here for everyone. All right. I checked a couple boxes, but again, I'm going to flip the switch to you because we're starting to fade in and out, and I want to be able to get out some information. I do have Garrett now starting for Miami against Wheeler there. The 2 boxes I checked off, there was some steam coming in on Rondon against Valdez. And then there was some steam coming in on the Yankees. Of course, that's the ESPN game. But the board is yours, my brother. Talk to the listeners and tell them what you're seeing today.
Well, the first thing that I started to look at, and I'm kind of intrigued by, is Scherzer today. And Scherzer's pitching against the Padres, and he's thrown against Musgrove. And you and I had talked about probably 2-3 weeks ago when we start to hit the dog days of summer and we kind of come through all this stuff. Some of these guys fade, and that's what I'm seeing with Musgrove. I'm seeing Musgrove as a guy who's been fading pretty hard. At the beginning of the year, remember, he threw a no-hitter, and he's a Pittsburgh Pirate, former Pittsburgh Pirate, comes over to the Padres, and then all of a sudden he's he's DeGrom, right? He's throwing all these great stuff out there and doing so well. But his last month, he's 4.67 Sierra number, and that's against a Scherzer who's 3.16. And Scherzer's coming on pretty strong. So I like the matchup with Scherzer against Musgrove. I like the idea that Scherzer's last time he pitched was against San Diego, who he's going to face today, and he got beat up. So I don't think Scherzer's going to get beat up today. And when I played this game, I got Scherzer at plus 100 or even money. I think the number right now might be about 105, 110, somewhere in there. And I'm okay with those numbers because I think that Scherzer gives them a big edge, and he's going to go deeper into the game than what I think Musgrove is going to do today. I know that San Diego's been really good on offense, but I kind of like the idea that Scherzer's going to have his bounce back game, make some adjustments, and be, Bulldog Max today against the Padres. So I am not opposed to that play at all. What's the number on him right now?
On Max?
Yeah.
Max right now across the Vegas Strip is minus 105. He's minus 110 at Mirage. You can basically get him at a 105 split on some of your offshore accounts.
Yeah, I'm okay with him. I really wouldn't go if they get they steamed more than that. I wouldn't go more than that, but I like him in a pick 'em game. I got him at plus 100, so I bet $100 you win $100 kind of idea.
I am scared poopless of that Nats back end as well. So on my eyes, if we were leaning that way, and I do like the matchup as well, I'd be looking at Scherzer and the first 5, take the bullpen out of play. Yeah, you got a Musgrove Scherzer first 5 innings, but I trust Scherzer more than that back end, so I would lean Scherzer first 5 as well.
Well, he's going to pitch 5 innings, even if he gives up 3 home runs in the first inning, right? I mean, that's what he does. If he goes out and gives up 3 runs, it's probably the only 3 runs he's going to give up in the whole game. So I like him in this spot against Musgrove. Musgrove's been fading, and I don't think he's going to find success again today against Washington. So the other kind of game there's a couple other ones, but the other game I kind of liked today was the Giants. I don't like to play road favorites of too high of a favorite, but we talked about this before. I hate having these retread pitchers out there, and St. Louis is throwing LeBlanc today. St. Louis can't score runs, and now you have a guy in Cueto who's just an average pitcher. That's all he is. But LeBlanc is 6.36 Sierra number, 6.74 xFIP. He can't get anybody out. He doesn't strike anybody out. In fact, over his last 30 days, he's got a 10% strikeout rate and an 11.7% walk rate. So he puts guys on base. Batting average against is not good, and I just don't like the idea that a team like the Giants are not going to be able to hit this guy. So I think you're in pretty good shape here, even though it's on the road, and even though the Giants have more veteran type guys and they like to rest those guys on Sunday. I'm way okay with the ability that you can take Cueto and reasonably have some success in mind. It's not that big of a deal. I played it at 121. I think he's up to 124, 125, something like that. Definitely don't go past 130. But I like those 2 games. And then there's a couple of them that I would really say are more like leans than they are like plays. I like Atlanta today. And I know that's kind of hard for me to say being in Tampa Bay, but Atlanta is playing the Rays, and you got Smiley on the mound, and he's going against Rich Hill. Now, Rich Hill was really good at the beginning of the season, and he's another one of these guys that's fading fast. His xFIP number is 6.62. I mean, that's like these guys are giving up tons of runs. 5.95 on the Sierra number. And again, here's a guy who can't strike anybody out, and he's walking guys. So, you're getting guys on base. You're getting the opportunities. And the other thing that's interesting, and you always got to kind of check into it, but the Tampa Bay Rays are, there's only 30 teams in Major League Baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays against left-handed hitting are ranked number 30. So they don't hit left-handed pitching. So I don't care what left-handed pitcher goes out there. I'm going to play against them. And I like the idea here that, you're getting Smiley at 100, 103, something like that. And Atlanta's the home team. So I'm okay with a lean there on, and maybe sprinkle some money on Smiley today. And the last one that I had was Burns in Milwaukee against the Reds. Sonny Gray has made 2 starts since he's come off the injured reserve list. He's done pretty well in those 2 starts. Burns has been great all season. His numbers are still great. And the interesting thing that I found here is that over the course of at bats against these pitchers and the bat lineups and stuff, Burns is much better against the Reds lineup than Gray is against Milwaukee's lineup. That kind of is, I guess, a normalcy seeing how hard Burns throws and the different things that he does. But I like the idea that again, that's a small favorite. I think it's minus 121, something like that. And I don't mind that play either. And that will just sort of bury Cincinnati with Milwaukee getting, I think 3 of the last games against them if they do that today.
It's funny you bring that up because we're on a few shows earlier this week, and that was the sizzle, that was the talk. Cincinnati right before break goes into Milwaukee and steals the last 2 against Hader of all people, and now they're the sexy name in the National League. I think we had them at plus 2,200 or something. And I've talked about their back end. Hey, listen, offensively, they'll put more guys on base than any team. And they just have a hard time of getting them to cross the plate. Last night here at ECSI, we had the Brewers money line, and we also had them on the run line. Now, you want to talk about frustrating. They had 13 guys on base yesterday. They had an error by Wong that cost them the first 2 runs. Then there was another error in the 10th that cost them another run. Long story short, they went 7-4. Everyone's happy. But I agree. I like your assessment on the board today. It's Quicksand Sunday. I was wrong, by the way. I had to scroll further down. That cancellation was yesterday. I'm at Don Best right now with the Rangers and Toronto. Allard versus Rue, and then Fultonavich versus Mats is the second game. So it's a good board. Weather back east again. Anyone diving in there to the east, always check your weather reports. We'd love to talk about, we'll stay away from that weather report because potentially lose your starting pitcher, whether if it's a play to win and stop for 45 minutes. Do they come back? If they do, are they that same pitcher, or does the manager just wave the white flag and then it's a bullpen game from the 3rd inning on? So it will be interesting there. Again, the ESPN game, Perez versus Talion. The Yankees opened up at 106, now steamed to 118. I actually see a 122 at Caesars right now. Perez, since Spider Tack, has not been good. But again, Talion's hit or miss there. They were gifted that game last night. A must win for the Yankees. But closing thoughts, Scotty. What would you like to tell the listeners today?
Well, I found 2 interesting things. One is I was looking at the Cubs and the Diamondbacks earlier today, and the Cubs with Davies, they're minus 116 full game. And then when you break it down, you go, how they can be 116 over anybody with Davies right now is crazy. And I get it. It's Arizona. But then I started going, okay, well, Arizona's bullpens, they're just trash. And their starting pitchers are just trash. But Merrill Kelly's been there, the only guy that you can really rely on to pitch pretty well. And again, he's one of these guys that's pitching a lot better over the dog days of summer. And Kelly and Davies is pitching terrible. So you're like, okay, let's go switch it. Look at the first 5 innings. Well, if you do that, the Diamondbacks are minus 125. So now you sit there and you go, okay, minus 125 for the Diamondbacks. Am I really going to do that? Absolutely not. I will play the Diamondbacks as a dog, but I'm never going to play the Diamondbacks as a favorite. But I just thought it was interesting to see that the sports book adjusted their numbers to such a degree that over a full game, the Cubs are minus 116 favorite. And in the first 5, the Diamondbacks are minus 125 as a favorite. So So that was an interesting thing that I took note of. And the other thing that I took note of, and it was just one of these things I do. I don't look at baseball standings enough, probably, but I look at things in segments of time. So I don't really look at the overall numbers. But do you really realize that the Detroit Tigers are only 9 games under 500 with the team that they have, and they are third in the Central, ahead of Minnesota, ahead of the Kansas City Royals. They are a team that is unbelievable to me, that they are not a cellar dweller right now with the pitching that they have. And like Jose Urena, I almost put a tweet out the other day. Jose Urena pitched in a game where it was a 1-0 game. I'm like, are you kidding me, Jose Urena? And then I go, okay, well, something's going on over there. So kudos to the manager. Kudos to, coming back from the Houston debacle and at least getting the kids to play and see where they're at. I mean, I just thought that the Detroit Tigers needed a little bit of a mention today.
And they did sweep the Twins yesterday. We've talked at length about how the Twins, had just been absolute. If you've been wagering on them, I think they're the worst team right now in the MLB when it comes to win-loss, cash and tickets. Least profitable was what I was looking for there. So for us here at ECSI, it's Sunday. We take it as the week's complete. We're right now hovering on just plus 1 unit. Again, we got Colin Morikawa at around plus 2,300, 2,400 at circa. So Spieth's charging on him, trying to stiff arm. We got chased down with Louis at plus 5,700 on the U.S. Open by John Rahm on 17 and 18 on Father's Day. So we're hoping to stiff arm Jordan today. For us in the MLB, it's a sit and wait. We're going to play some maybe a small little action parlay. Kind of might look at Zach Wheeler first 5 against a Miami with a bullpen game starting with Garrett. Funny story. I'll close with this on Twitter. On Twitter yesterday, the Dodgers team total yesterday was 7 and a hook, juiced minus 140 under. Wasn't getting there. Then I think they put up 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, and 4 in the 9th to get to the, they ended up with double digits. So everyone here, start looking at these back ends. Look at these back ends with these teams that are leaking bad. You can either fade and go if you like the team, to win the game. Don't deal with the back ends. You can starting cashing in on some of these weak back end. Even start looking at the team total. Got up Arizona. We had their team total over 3.5, and the pitcher Zach Gallen killed us yesterday. He got up with 2nd and 3rd and couldn't produce. Then he gets up with 1st and 2nd and hits into a double play. So we come up short there. But all in all, a great show, Scotty. Struggled with the internet. Apologies to everyone there. We'll be back tomorrow and Tuesday, you and I, Scott. When wagering, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up the phone or reach out to someone. So I'm your host, and my co-host, E. Webb. Everyone, best of luck today, and see you in the morning.